This is a demonstration on how I make a pretty nice fire effect using the particle layer and rendering it out as a QuickTime movie, re-importing it, and layering it several times. As you can see, I start with a simple S shape and I apply just a very simple animation to that layer. Nothing more than a rotate, translate, scale, and I've duplicated this layer several times. I've added layer shadows and used the yellow and motion blur. Now this is going to add to the render time, but we only have to do it once. Actually, I have two shapes that I've used to add a little variety to it. And as I mentioned before, I have duplicated that, I think, 2 times. So I have a total of 6 layers. And as I did an animation for each, I tried to spread them out so that I had sort of a cone shape. Now in the particle layer, you could use the layer shadow and motion blur there, but I tend to get odd effects, so I don't do it too often. If you click on the particle layer icon there and go to your options at the top, you can see the settings I used for my particle layer. I did do some scaling and some translating of the particle layer to get it to where it would fit my workspace. And I found this out, that when you click on a parameter and use your mouse wheel to scroll, you'll see in real time the changes happening to the particle layer. See, now that doesn't look very fire-like right at the moment. I try not to use too many particles. I try to use the fewest I can to cut down on my render time. That being said, this render took about 4 hours on my computer. Now that might not be something people want to try, but if you lower your particle count, maybe do without the motion blur, you can drop that down. Here it is after it's been rendered. It is now a movie layer. I used QuickTime PNG Kodak Million Color Plus to maintain the alpha in the background. Now I will duplicate this again. But first, I will turn on the loop movie option. And if I need to adjust the speed of the frames, I can do that in the frames per second option there. Okay, now I'll duplicate this layer 2 more times. I like to work in 3s. Too many movies and the render times can get outrageously long, and I only want to have just the one long render and several short ones. I'll do some scaling to try to add some variety and translate my particle layer, my movie layers I should say, so that you can see the overlap. And, move that up and over, and I'm going to bring this one to the forefront and just kind of cover up right there. Now in the sequencer, since we have the loop movie option on, I want to add some variety to the flames so they're not all the same. I'm going to click on this movie layer around the 240 frame mark and drag to the left. As you can see, I am actually reversing my movie, and it will start playing from that point forward and loop back around again. On the second, I will do that about maybe 1/3, around the 120 frame mark. So now I have the 3 movies playing, and they will starting to look more flame-like. I will render this out again as a PNG, QuickTime Movie PNG, Million Colors Plus. And it will look something like this. I've scaled a little bit, and this time I've added a simple bone rig to the image layer. Simple animation of bone manipulation to kind of give that dancing flame effect. And again, I have duplicated my layers and overlapped, scaling to try to fit what I need till I got this effect. Kind of a wildfire look. I will add other elements such as smoke and maybe a campfire of some sort and render that out. The nice thing about this technique is that you will always have these little movie clips to layer and add as you see fit. Hope this gives you some ideas on how to use particles.